Hi guys. First of all, tonight I would just like to apologize that I haven't updated you on anything in a long time. Just under a lot of pressure with my work at the moment. Good pressure, not bad pressure, but I haven't had a lot of time to do research and uh, update you on the schools that are available. I have recently acquired some contacts who are helping me to get more schools for you. And when I say get more schools, I mean schools who are currently hiring reliable schools with a pretty good average rate. But tonight's video, I would like to talk to you about what is happening in China. I promised you an update, and now I can finally give you an accurate update on what is going on. Um, I started helping two ladies to set up an online teaching school in China. Two lovely ladies, both of them parents. They're extremely well connected in China with other online teaching companies. And they had a student base of approximately 350 students. I was helping them to produce material, telling them, how I suggest they should approach acquiring teachers, help them with the hourly rates, how to do their presentations when going to the schools, and so on. All right. Long story short, so they sent me a long message today regarding the Chinese government's policy on teaching hours. And devastatingly, she informed me, well, both of them informed me, because we have our own group chat on Skype. And she said that the Chinese online teaching companies that she's connected with, in China, they have a very strange approach. They might technically be competing against each other, but they do so, how would I say, in a rather civilized way. They interact with each other a lot, share information, although it might be two uh, uh, companies competing even within the same market, which I find is wonderful. But okay, having said that, and she said her colleagues and friends working for the other companies, one of which is a well known big company, I don't know which one, but all of them said that they've been laying off teachers in their hundreds. Um, then she had a rant about how the Chinese government is encouraging parents to have more kids. This I do know about, just from watching the news, so I can confirm that that is actually the fact. Because they had a one-child policy, and some parents lost their only child, and were not able to have another one. But they changed their policy, and they also want to increase their labor force. I'm sorry, I don't want to go off topic, but I can confirm that when she said that, she was correct, because I objectively heard the same facts from another source. Okay, so what is the situation? And this is just my assessment again. Uh, some other professionals who specialize in working with this every day might have their own opinions on, which differ from mine completely. But what I can gather from these ladies is that they themselves find the situation to be terrible and unpredictable. And I have never actually seen Chinese schools speak so openly against proposed legislation or past legislation. I say, I think that these rules and regulations are already being implemented. I've spoken to another recruiter on our page. Oh my goodness, I have so many of them speaking to me lately. I haven't responded to many of them, and I'm sorry for that, guys, because I use these recruiters to get you more schools to help you in my free time. I just have not had a lot of free time, but I will try to make a more assertive effort with regards to this as from next week. The situation is quite troubling. Does this mean this is online teaching Armageddon? Honestly, I don't think so. Because the one benefit of speaking to online teachers from all varieties of schools, and I mean, I speak to online teachers that don't only teach English, they teach German, most especially the German teachers, because I used to teach German for a bit as well. I speak to online teachers from Europe, Eastern Europe as well. Last night I had a group session with a group of teachers, uh, some of them mostly from Europe, and I think the one was from another African country, I'm not sure where. Uh, what I can tell you is that there's still a career in online teaching. Uh, from what again, and I'm only assessing what she said to me to the best of my ability to give you the best possible scenario. The best possible scenario is that this is, as the article said from Reuters, a trial period. Uh, the Chinese government, and the Reuters assessment of it was that the Chinese government is going to have a trial period where they are going to suspend and reduce some of the teaching hours. They don't want the children to be learning English all holiday. They want the kids to go out and play, and they want the parents to have bigger families. Okay, it really, whether it's going to work or not, it's pointless for us to debate whether this is a sensible piece of legislation or not. Because one way or the other, it's going to have no impact on whether the government passes more of the similar type of legislation. I think the Chinese government is implementing some of these regulations, and they are going to assess systematically what the outcome of these implemented rules and regulations will be. I'm not sure they know exactly what to expect, so they're giving it a test run, and they will obviously in some way. Uh, they're not as reactionary as we get told or might think. The Chinese government is quite rational for the most part and practical. So if they get a lot of negative feedback from the very parents and students that they are trying to protect with this legislation, then obviously they'll either change the legislation, amend it, or suspend it entirely. You must remember this is not the first time that this has happened before. It happened in 2015, and then I think there was an incident in 2018. Uh, the only difference is that the schools never actually went and suspended, or again, I don't think this lady, she said to me that they dismissed a lot of their teachers. Now, I speak to a lot of other teachers who are working for Chinese companies at the moment, and they still all have their jobs. So I'm not very sure. These companies might have a way to legally circumvent some of these restrictions. That is what I suspect. Um, what would I do if I were you? I would still apply to these jobs. I just recently spoke to a teacher who inboxed me, was today or yesterday, and just got a job with BetaKid. Um, so, and I have several other examples of teachers who are still being hired by Chinese companies, and they certainly wouldn't be hiring if they thought that uh, they won't have any students to teach due to the coming legislation. I can tell you that I've worked with these ladies for quite a long time. I mean, I'm not going to trust them with my life, but in the couple of months that I've worked with them and helped them, they've been incredibly honest, incredibly reliable. It was adorable. I met their kids, and they've been incredibly transparent right through the entire process. They wanted me to go on board with them starting the school. I thought of it being an interesting opportunity, and then having an inside perspective of what it is like working for it, or owning, or being a partner in an online Chinese teaching company. But I mean, in retrospect, I honestly don't think I actually have the time to do that. So, having said all of that, she said to me she'll get back to me as soon as she has certainty. Uh, but what we do know is teachers have been dismissed, and one of the recruiters told me that her hours with two Chinese companies have been reduced significantly. And I know this lady, she's a recruiter teacher, um, and she's not on our page that often. I just met her through, through all the people that I speak to with regards to online teaching. She's a lovely lady, and she's also reliable. So she told me that I have. Let me put it to you this way: I don't have any reason not to believe those two ladies from China, because they were really excited about launching the school, and we were just about to do that. Um, I was not so invested in the venture as they were, but they were heavily invested in it, and in some ways they needed me to help them to do certain things. So again, I don't see why these ladies would exaggerate it or say it for some other deviant, less than honorable purpose. Okay. So if I were you, I'd still apply to these companies. Okay. So I don't think any of these rules or regulations are going to be implemented indefinitely. That I can say with some certainty. And like I said earlier on, I am utterly convinced that if the Chinese government gets a lot of negative feedback from the parents, especially, that they will seriously consider to amend or change the legislation, whether it's legislation or rules or regulations, or okay, it's semantics. But the point is, these restrictions that we are concerned about are being implemented at the moment. Uh, Whether it's going to have an effect on your schedule, it is. It has had an effect on some people's schedule, and then I also get feedback from other teachers who claim to be fully booked. Okay, uh, I I'm usually very open minded to feedback, but I this video I'm making tonight isn't really much of a debate. I made this video to be a warning. Okay, so some of the things that we were concerned about has in fact started happening. On what scale, I am not sure. Okay. Um, why do I make this video? I will always encourage, and I always try to make positive videos and uplifting videos on my blog. Um, I just want to make sure that all my teachers that follow me and are members on my page, that they always make sure to have more companies, and that they keep on applying to more companies. Because even if one Chinese company, this is what I would do. If I were working for Chinese companies, I would do this. Okay. It's complicated, but I mean, surviving isn't easy either. Okay. So you apply to four different Chinese companies. Let's say, for example, each of these companies have had their hours reduced due to whatever legislation, rule, restriction, regulation. But you work for all four of them at the same time. Okay. And you can get 3 or 2 hours from each of them. There you go. You see, the whole thing is, guys, it is not easy juggling your schedule. And it took me a while to get used to it. I should actually make a video, but I'm too scared to do that because there are people out there that are significantly more organized than I am. And I am the exact opposite of anal retentive. But so I don't specifically plan things. But in terms of my schedule, if I can manage to juggle 3 schools, which is what I'm doing at the moment, more or less, then I'm sure you can as well. So, long story short, apply to as many of these Chinese companies, and you can very well still make a decent living. You're just not going to earn that decent living from one company anymore. Okay. Because I don't see a situation wherein all of these companies are just going to close down. I find that to be a very, very unlikely scenario. Nothing is impossible. I mean, just look at 2020. Um, okay, so it's actually quite serious, not really funny. But the point is, guys, that is your solution. It is a solution that I suggested in one of my first videos that I ever made in any event. But considering the current situation that we're dealing with regards to the restricted hours by the Chinese government, now that is not only a solution, you, you should think of it as being the only option of providing yourself with some security, um, especially for the online teachers who do this as a full time job. For me, this is my primary, and I can't say my only source of income, but it is definitely my primary source of income. So this is what I do full time. I'm an online teacher. So I what every plan I make and every decision I make with regards to online teaching is based on the idea of having a full schedule all the time. Because if I have an empty schedule in a month, that doesn't mean I can't pay rent and just get over it. So whatever I do, I always ensure that I have at least 6 or 8 hours by the grace of God every day. We can't always achieve that, but we can try to get as close to it as possible. And you're not going to get as close to it as possible by focusing on one school. And please get this get go as far away as possible from this mindset of being loyal to a company. You prove your loyalty to a company by being the best possible teacher and arriving for your classes. Okay, that is the only loyalty that you owe them, is to do your job and to be reliable. Uh, but you don't owe them loyalty in terms of only working for them. That is unfortunately a mindset that is going to cost you dearly in the online teaching industry. Uh, it's not impossible, but it's very unlikely that you'll achieve any long-term success by working for only one company. I mean, look at European schools at the moment; they're all on holiday. Well, the European students are on holiday until middle September, which is fine. I mean, I anticipated this and put a lot of money away, but I have another school that I'm working for. So now and I have an interview again on Friday. So you see, I've been working for this one European company for how long, and I could theoretically only work for them because if I put in enough hours, I can earn a lot of money from them. And when I say a lot, then my golden standard is what does a in class teacher in South Africa earn? From what I can gather, it's about 20,000 rand. Okay. When I say a lot of money, then obviously it's a lot more than that. But I can't just invest in this one company that I'm with because what if something goes wrong? What if it's holiday time? The company I'm interviewing with on Friday, once I'm done with them, I'll make a video and give you feedback on them. They have a decent hourly rate from what I've seen, but I can't review them now. It would just be silly, and I would be doing you an injustice. I can tell you that the correspondence that I've had with them so far has been incredible. The teacher, the head of the teacher management, something, each company has, they all have these funny titles. I can't keep up with it. But it seems like she's HR manager or something like that, for a lack of a better expression. She's on, she's wonderful, and she's been helpful and supportive. So I'll tell you how the interview went, and maybe I'll wait until if my goodness, let me be careful. If I do get the job, and then I can give you some feedback after I've given some of the classes. and then I can tell you whether you should apply to them, and if so, how to pass the interview. But let's just see if I get the job. We should always be modest and grateful for any achievement that we have, and I am looking forward to the interview, because by getting employed by them, I'm also not subject to the changes happening in China, um, which is why I have encouraged so many of you to try. And I know everybody can't, but for all of you who can and manages to do it, I would advise you to apply to as many of these European companies as possible, and stop hunting for jobs only on Facebook. Guys, there are professional networks out there. I try to go to them. I'm just a little bit overloaded, but there are so many smaller companies who pay much better rates, but they don't advertise on Facebook or Instagram. Um, and I'm being very serious because nobody seems to be listening to me. Um, I don't know why. You should actually say to yourself, today I'm going to spend 2 hours just job hunting. Yeah, I mean, the amount of hours I've sat in front of a laptop looking for jobs. The best job I have now or have ever had online, I got from one of these hunting sessions. Okay. Thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night. God bless. Be safe. Wear your mask. Look after your families. Good hunting. I wish you all the best. Oh, just as a last point, I started working for Palfish. I am only on the free talk. I got invited to do the interview for the kids. They pay $16 an hour. You should seriously look at that, because $16 an hour at Palfish teaching kids is a pretty decent hourly rate. With regards to the free talk, I randomly get calls from, it's just free chat. You're just chatting to somebody and then you correct their grammatical or pronunciation errors. You just sort of nudge them in the right direction. My impression is the students who call you on free talk want a foreign teacher experience, sort of like yes, they want to learn English obviously, but they also want to have fun. And so I enjoyed the free talk classes I've given so far. The platform's really easy to use, and when you apply for the job, you don't wait very long. Okay, so let me know if you are interested in watching a video about Palfish, the application process, and how to deal with the free talk students. If you're interested in that, I'll make you a video on that. And what else did I? And please apply to Palfish. If you get turned down, then you get turned down, guys. It just, like I said, I am no better than anybody watching this video. I've literally just applied to so many schools that, again, everything is by the grace of God, of course. But statistically speaking, the more schools you apply to, the higher your odds are to get employed. Okay. So always remember that. And please, if you're doing well with a company, don't think that I'm not excited for you. I really am. What I am worried about is the day comes and they say, for no particular reason. And I've heard this from people working for big companies, Beta Kid, Magic Ears, where they've had 4 or 5 months where they were fully booked, and then all of a sudden they they get 5 or 8 hours a week from being fully booked. So, and again, I wasn't attacking any of these companies. There might have been a good rational reason for them reducing the hours. But at the same time, it doesn't change the situation that you're in. You're going to get paid significantly less, and you need a backup. And for that backup, you might need another one. Okay. All right, guys, I wish you all the best. As soon as I find out about this British company that I'm applying for, I will update you ASAP.